Stage 1 of the 2025 Tour de France, up here in the north of France, in Lille. And it was a stage, a sprint, what we expected, but to get there may have not have been what you had expected, because along the way, out here in northern France, as it is often across the border in Belgium, crosswinds, chaos, and crashes. And yeah, we had our share, and I'll get to those. 185 kilometers, 5 riders went free, 4 Frenchmen, 1 German rider, and I want to note 2 of the French riders because they're going to come into play later on in the stage. Benjamin Thomas, also Matteo Verchet. Those riders were key because on the first of 3 categorized 4 climbs where there was a point offer on each one, they were going for the mountains points. At that first climb, well, the Cofidis rider, Thomas, got the point. So that made him virtual classification leader, but at one point in the race they had 2 minutes, but the peloton wasn't allowing them to go very far because they pulled him back before we got to that second climb of 3. And back in the back, we were already having some of those crashes that I promised on a day up here in northern France. Filippo Ganna, TT specialist, our record holder, hits the deck, and unfortunately, after some suffering throughout the day, he had to pull the plug on his Tour de France already midway into the first day of 21. Then there was Stefan Bessiger later on from Decathlon, AG2R Le Mondial, who crashed. Yes, he later abandoned. And all day we saw Lenny Martinez from Bahrain Victorious suffering. I think he finished 9 minutes down. We saw Simon Yates, Visma Lease bike, and we'll get to that team. He suffered a mechanical. He was off the back quite a bit. Well, he didn't have great legs either. 6 minutes down on the stage. And we're going to talk about some of these important GC gaps because yes, there were GC gaps in the sprint, and the sprint, well, I'm going to get to the winner as well. We had the intermediate sprint won by Jonathan Milan, one of the favorites in our sprinters day today. And then we had the 2 riders, yes, Thomas and Verchet, go up the road again, and on the second of 3 climbs, and of course there's cobbles because we're up on the border with Belgium. They're sprinting up this cobbled climb. Thomas is trying to find his way, and Verchet's rear wheel is just bouncing all over the place on the cobbles. Thomas finally gets through on the left-hand side, pips him on the line for the KOM points. That means he's in the polka dot jersey at the end of the day, but not without bruises and scrapes, because as soon as he crossed the line, he lost control in his bike, crashed. Verchet went over his bike. They're both on the ground, and that was the end of their escape, but Thomas got what he needed, which was those points. Now let's get into the sprint action in these final kilometers because it was chaotic. It was crosswinds, as were promised up here in northern France. 17.5 kilometers to go. We knew that was going to be a crunch point, and yes, it was. The riders, I think, made a right-hand turn, and right there, of course, with that turn, the wind direction was crucial. Splits in the peloton. Alpecin de Koenig with Jasper Philipsen, one of the hot riders for today's sprint. While he was up there, also Matteo Jorgensen drilling it for his team leader, Jonas Vingegaard. Also in the move, of course, it's going to be 3-time winner of the Tour de France, Tadej Pogačar, in the rainbow jersey of world champion. Teammate right there along beside him, Tim Wellens in the Belgian jersey, also with Jorgensen and Vingegaard, well as Tish Benoot. So they have 3 riders. UAE have 2. But crucially, Remco Evenepoel, Soudal Quickstep, who's used to riding in these sort of flat lands, crosswinds, the Belgian rider from Brussels, he misses out. So does Tim Merlier, favorite for the sprint today. Also, we saw some footage of Remco Evenepoel getting pushed off on the side of the road, having to ride on the grass to keep upright and to make sure he didn't crash. But they'd missed out. Primoz Roglic missed out, but the good thing, hey, Primoz didn't crash today. We're up here in the north. Fortress over here, I did a couple laps today, logged it on Strava, but you don't care about that. You care about what's going on up front. Well, Alpecin de Koenig was in a good spot because 5 riders, including Caden Groves, including Van der Poel, yes, Philipsen was up in there, and they were going to lead out for the sprint. We also had Uno X with Warren Scald and Leif Helm. I think I'm getting his name right, but he's the other sprinter on the team. They made the group, but they didn't have the punch when it mattered. Heading into the final kilometers, and the gap was growing behind. At the end of the day, was 39 seconds on those other GC riders with Alpecin de Koenig to control. One of their riders, then Van der Poel, then Caden Groves, then Jasper Philipsen. All along the right-hand side, Guilherme was trying to find his spot, and he finally found a spot, and he was charging up the right-hand side. Philipsen, who had a clean sprint, we saw him in that intermediate sprint, kind of pushing Cocard, but he wasn't really pushing, he was just saying, hey, I'm there. He did a clean sprint in the final after 185 kilometers, 2 bike lengths over Guilherme. And Guilherme, I was hoping he would be it. he would beat after the first Black African last year to get the stage win. I was hoping he was going to be in the yellow jersey, but chapeau to Jasper Philipsen, coming across the border from his homeland, Belgium. The Belgian fans are going to be cheering loud for him there as he gets the flowers and the maillot jaune for the stage win, of course, and the GC classification lead. And Matteo Jorgensen, we spoke with the riders over there at the bus afterwards, after the party celebration with Caden Groves over there, seeing the battered riders, because we saw that crash with Ben O'Connor and some of the other riders hit the deck. But we were speaking with Caden Groves. It was a lot of chaos in there. Vanderpool was in there. The riders were going through. Benny Grimet was called back up to the podium. I shot some images of him going up there. Spoke to Warren Scald, who finished third on the day. So was Philipsen by 2 bike lengths over Grimet, second. Warren Scald, the Norwegian, in third place. Went back over to the Visma Lisa bike bus to get the assessment. They were cooling down on the TT bikes. That's crucial because stage 5 is a TT. And they cleaned house in the Criterium du Dauphiné behind Remco Evenepoel. Vingegaard and Jorgensen. Jorgensen loved it. This is the racing he loves. Classic type racing. He can get up there, elbow his way through, his big broad shoulders, perfect for Vingegaard. And for sure Pogacar's going to be happy with the day today too. Wellens protected him. They said, they joked, they would have liked to also distance Pogacar, but hey, they got rid of Remco. They got rid of Primož Roglič by 39 seconds today. It's going to be a bad day. I didn't speak with the Soudal Quick-Step boys, but the Belgians aren't going to be happy missing out on that today. Oh, what a day of racing, and we're only one of 21 days into the 2025 Tour de France, and it's Jasper Philipsen. GC cracks are already appearing, and it's Jasper Philipsen on top, stage win, yellow jersey.